Hey, what's up, people? This is episode 47. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, and the episode starts right now. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? We're all in. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Along with Rob, keeping McLean, and Miranda's in the room. I know Miranda's in the room because you always have this look like, what are you doing? Rob,
Yeah,
keeping
she's trying to distract you.
I am Jason DeBeas. What's up, people? This is episode 47. This is Sports Debate Tuesday. Got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the Eagles a little bit. Of course, the UFC had their last event, last fight night, and boy, did they finish with a bang. I've never seen an event that had like so many fights that went to decision, but they were all exciting fights. Big up to Dana White for the rest of the year. Of course, we have our NFL Pick Six. We're going to go over the winners from last year as well. From last week, as well as our special guests who were Rob and I, your hosts, are going to compete against this week. But first, sorry, checking my volume. But first things first. This is volleyball. Nope. This is Sports Debate Tuesday, Rob. Monday night. I had all my news in, had everything ready to talk about, and I'm like, we don't need to talk about Pittsburgh and the Bengals because we already know what's going to happen. Rob, what happened?
Man. And again, I'm not trying to take shots at people, but I think there's just tiers to the level of coaches, and I think Tomlin's an all-time great, but I always felt that there's a disconnect with him being that championship coach. And I think these games kind of say that, where it's the same thing to Josh Allen, because Tomlin's a very young coach. People forget about that. He has a lot of experience, but he's still a young coach in terms of, the age of a coach. So he's got a lot to learn, but I still don't see him connecting with his players to get them to that level, or whether it's the GM, but, without a TJ Watt, their team, without trading for that Minkah Fitzpatrick, their team is really not that much on defense. You look at offense, they haven't done anything to address the quarterback for all these years. And not to go too far off, but I think these are really the problems. They're fundamental problems in Pittsburgh, where they're stuck in a certain ideal and they can't get out of it. And that's their thing now, is they run the ball really well. They just ran the ball so well last night with Tony Smith. Oh, my
God, didn't they?
But that's not really who they are as a team. They're not a bruising team. They're not I'm going to run you off the field. But they have all the receivers to throw the ball. All right, so let's be a receiving team. Let's be an offensive threat. They don't really have that quarterback. They don't really have the personnel to block for Big Ben and also to get the players downfield. So for me, I just think – that 10-2, the 11 wins early on was kind of an anomaly. It just kind of the schedule worked out for them well. They played really good football. Their defense is on fire. But now, the wheels are starting to come off, where you're starting to see that their offense isn't as dependable as can be, and their defense isn't that top five defense that's going to transcend their team to a different level. So, I just think they're kind of an upper level, mid of the way team, that performed really well or above their expectations this year. And you're starting to see if you can kind of quell that pass rush, which what a rushing game really does. You can take away their most important parts of that team, which is getting to the quarterback. So I just think that a bad matchup for them. But, maybe not a motivated game for them. A lot of bad things that you don't want to see for a playoff team going into the playoffs. So, I just thought it was a really, really well-coached game by the Bengals. Finley did a fantastic job. I thought he was, a rookie coming into his own in a sense. But, I just thought it was a really solid game played by the Bengals and a really sloppy, 2-3 turnovers in the second quarter by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so that's what happens. You make mistakes and you lose.
Yeah, look, For Rob, I agree. I agree with mostly everything you say, even though me and you we have a curved disagreement on Mike Tomlin's ability as a coach. I mean, I've always considered Bill Belichick one and him 1A, particularly because of the season he had last year where he didn't have big Ben, who you said is a diminishing quarterback. Very good argument. Le'Veon Bell, who who at the time was running hard, and Antonio Brown, who any team would want to have. I mean, you know this guy's good because he brings all this baggage with him, and people still want him. So without all those three, the guy finished 8-8. In fact, 8-8 in his whole tenure as coach was the worst record he's ever had. So that's why I've always considered him a good coach. And he needs to recreate. When he first came to the Pittsburgh Steelers, only the third coach in that franchise since the Super Bowl era. That says a lot, right? I mean, only three coaches. I mean, you're a Giants fan. That's been a carousel, right? Buffalo Bills, we have a handful of coaches. But when the team knows you're going to throw, when the team knows you're not going to run, you have to be able to find ways. I think they're still continuing to try to stretch the field without giving Ben the protection that he needs to stretch the field. Why don't we run a little West Coast offense? Why don't you do a little Joe Montana stuff? Why don't you dink and dump a little bit? Create a de facto running game. Get some of these screen passes, some of these slot receivers, some of these go and stop guys, right? See, these weird inverted slant patterns that a lot of these teams are running. Rodgers does it. Everyone that's a good thrower of the ball or a decent thrower of the ball can do it. And I think in order for them to have to continued success, I think they need to give Ben that. They need to give him that I don't know, that kind of cushion so he doesn't get beat up, because he's never been terribly nimble. He's just been hard to take down. And that's how I think they should do it. And if you look at all the other football teams with similar win-loss records, they are doing that. Mahomes does that when he needs to. Aaron Rodgers does that when he needs to. Russell Wilson, who's faster than, has better quickness and twitch muscles than all of them, he does that. So I think the reason why they lost is not because of the defense. The defense, I mean, if the other team has time of possession, I think it was like 31.5 to 26.7.5 or whatever, 28.5. But if other team's going to have more time of possession, your defense can only do too much. Rob, you are a Giants fan. You've been a Giants fan for decades. And you've been on teams where we had terrible quarterbacks where they were just 3 and out and the defense just keeps locking it down. But we both know, and by the way, the Giants have been playing really well on defense the last couple of weeks. You just can't get the defense gets off the field, and then on special teams or like the second play you throw an interception or you fumble the ball and they got to go back on, like you said, Watt, a Pro Bowl bound, Minka Fitzpatrick, he better be Pro Bowl bound. That's what happened last night. Sooner or later, a good coach is going to figure out. They only got 1 or 2 decent runners. They're not even blocking for the runners. They're barely blocking for the passer, whose team wants to stretch the field, right? Sooner or later, good coaches are going to figure it out. Don't even have to be a great coach, and that's what happened last night. That's what I think happened last night. And what also happened last night, Rob, lastly, I do agree and co-sign with you when I say that they did overachieve. We knew they were a good football team. We knew that they were probably had a good shot at going in the playoffs going into the season, even in a division as deep as the AFC North. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know they'd start 11-0, and in our heart of hearts, Rob, come on, we were all waiting for it. We all said wait for it, right? We all said wait for it. When the Kansas City Chiefs win by 3, there's still no doubt in your mind you're going to lose. When Pittsburgh was winning by 3, you're like, oh my God, they could have dropped that game. So we were always, even at 11-0, we all had our doubts. So I'm surprised at last night, but not, I think my heart rate is fine. I have no heart attack over it. I'm not completely surprised. So, right? That's how you feel?
Yeah, no, and just to piggyback too, like I said, I'm not trying to shoot at Tomlin, and I don't think he's a bad coach. I don't think he's an okay coach. I think I don't even think he's a good coach. He's a very good coach, but I think there is a distinct difference between, and like you were saying, 1A and 1B. I think it's a clear cut 1 and 2. Yeah, because I think there's just levels to what you can do as a coach. Because again, you say their defense is great. That's Tomlin's thing, is defense. So maybe their defense is always great. So let's look at the offense and say, okay, you got a guy who, what's their offensive coordinator doing? And that's under the head coach's umbrella. What are the plays that Ben has the ability to audible to? That comes under the umbrella of a head coach as well. So I'm not saying that Tomlin's not a great coach, but I think Just like Bill Belichick, he's a phenomenal defensive coach. But for some reason, his offenses are thriving, and I'm not saying that Pittsburgh is not thriving, but they have bursts. They're not consistent. It's not a system, So that's where I'm just saying that I think there's a disconnect. And I think there always has been, where he went into that Mike Tomlin went to a really, really solid, really, controlled situation, where all he had to do was not lose games as a head coach and learn from that experience. And that's where we are now. I don't see where he has grown to such a thing, other than to just talk about the records and the statistics that the players that he's coached put on the field, to say, oh, this guy has changed this franchise because of the way he's coaching. And that's all I'm saying, is I think there's just a difference. I think Juan Rivera is not maybe the best coach, but what he does to franchises are huge. They're game changing. Same thing with Andy Reid. He might not be one of the greatest coaches of all time, but he's definitely elevated himself, because in many different places, he's brought a organization from something to something greater, and that's
Absolutely.
just,
Yeah, Kansas City.
So I just think coaches are different.
Kansas City's always been competitive, but we all knew, like, in the playoffs they were like one and done. And Andy Reid, wherever, I mean, got so happy that someone like that will be remembered, and be remembered with a ring. So good for him, and
Absolutely.
even better that he has a quarterback like Mahomes. But he
made that choice.
Yeah, but he won double-digit games even with Alex Smith. But he knew to win a Super Bowl.
It's true.
It was about our homeboy.
Right. And even making that decision, like, it's like if, Tomlinson had, a real quarterback behind Big Ben and had to make that decision. It's like, the decision they had to make with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I think it's not to cut too forward to the episode, but, I think this is the same thing they're going to have to talk about with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Should they be together? Should they push each other to be better, create good trade stock, or, get rid of one now?
Well, you're not going too far ahead, because, in fact, that's what we're going to talk about next, Rob. Continuing on with football, I'm so excited about our pick six this week. But before we go to our pick six, we need to talk about Philadelphia. All right, Philadelphia lost to the Cardinals. No shame in losing to them. Arizona, a very competitive team. A very, very talented secondary and a quarterback. There's something about these Oklahoma quarterbacks that makes that coach that from Oklahoma just say, hey, you bring him to me. I'll send him to the NFL. Because right now the man's 3 for 3, I think, in a 4-year period. Right? He's gotten. Jalen Hurts was the most recent one. Baker Mayfield was. Kyler Murray was before him, and Baker Mayfield was before him. So that's 3 years. 3 quarterbacks, or 4 years. And we both know these guys are starters. Kyler Murray might even be a Hall of Famer. He's like my mini Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's mini. But getting back to the Eagles lost to the Cardinals. I believe the score was, where are we right now? I had it and it just disappeared. 33-26. A very competitive game at the end. Turned out to be a shootout that Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts invited. And the question, before I get to the question, let's talk about the two quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, 24-44, 338 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, passer rating of 110. Kyler Murray, 27 for 36. That's tight. 406 yards. 75% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns on a pick. Passer rating of 132. Ridiculous. These guys were all over the place. We could talk about the Cardinals. We could talk about D-Hop. The dude got 169 yards receiving. Fitzgerald, man, hauled one in. It was just,
that was crazy.
It was the reason why it's crazy, because I feel like we're talking about the NFC least every week, but these are the games that are galvanizing. These are the games that got fan attention, and we owe it to ourselves to talk about this game for a little bit. Now that I'm done with my part, and I'll definitely give you the floor if you want to talk more about it. But the question is, the elephant in the room. We're talking about Kyler Murray. We're talking about Jalen Hurts. Who are we not talking about, Rob? We're not talking about Carson Wentz. The question, Rob, is will Wentz get run out of Philly?
Yeah, I mean, it's early to tell, I'd say. It's early to tell. I still feel like at the moment, and I think this is pretty common sense, but, Carson Wentz obviously has a higher ceiling. And let's put all good things, put all things on the table. let's say Carson Wentz gets traded out. The Eagles are either going to have to take, king's ransom for him because he's obviously a clear-cut franchise quarterback, and all he needs is a change of scenery. And once that happens, he will be a franchise quarterback again, guaranteed. That's just guaranteed. So they need a king's ransom for him. I don't think anybody's going to give them that based on the stats that he's put out.
Yeah, but they got to pick up his contract too, right?
They do, but anybody's going to pick up that contract because they need a franchise quarterback. And I'm talking about a team that's one player away, or that has a great defense that needs somebody to run a full offense to them that has, pieces. So, when you're talking about like a franchise quarterback, it's going to be really hard for them to get a certain type of return. So I personally, I see that, Wentz and Jalen Hurts are going to stay in the same place. They're going to challenge each other for 1 year. It's going to be the same thing that Doug Peterson was doing with Nick Foles. And they're going to, fight it out for a year. They're going to play, and Carson Wentz is probably going to win that out, and Jalen Hurts is going to be sold off at a premium price. But I still feel like I understand why teams are reluctant to pick on Jalen Hurts still. But you can't deny what you see. He's an actual pocket quarterback that can run. It's very far and few in between players that actually want to be a pocket quarterback and learn the nuance between running and passing. And I think Michael Vick was like really one of the few players that were so good at running. And I'm not saying he's that fast, but he's strong. He's a big
strong legs. That's what I was talking about.
Big, like he wants to hit people.
Hurts got weightlifter's legs, man. When he runs, he's killing it.
The problem with that is, the same thing with Cam Newton. You just got to do it at a certain time. But again, he's very smart with it. He doesn't take contact. He dives to the ground. If he takes contact, it's always against a smaller player. And it's always, him making a juke and hitting somebody. It's not just I'm going to run up into you and hit you kind of like Cam does. So all these little nuances about, oh, well, he's not a real pocket quarterback. Well, not better than these guys, but he can also run. Oh, well, he's not a running quarterback. Oh, well, he can still throw the ball a lot better than these running quarterbacks. You have to start weighing those options together. And for me, I think he's a really, really awesome combination of those things. So I really see Jalen Hurts thriving in a situation even like what Tennessee was doing with, Marcus Mariota a while ago. I think he would have thrived in a situation like that. So, I think he's going to be fantastic, but I just don't think it's something that Philadelphia wants. If you have a choice to go between a mobile quarterback who can throw the ball or a pocket passer that can, throw the ball maybe 50, 60 yards, can make better decisions. Because, again, this is the third year Carson Wentz is in the league. He's got a lot of time to grow, man. Like, let's say, 5 years down the road, he becomes the best quarterback of all time. You got to stick through the thick and the thin to get to the good stuff. So, I just feel like Carson Wentz, there's just too much ceiling, and I don't think he'll ever be run out of town. But I'd love to be proved wrong. So,
okay, Rob McLean. The reason why people don't lean more towards analytics these days and not their eye test is because as far as people's eye test is concerned, everybody's just seeing completely freaking different things. And that is exactly what I'm seeing right now. Man, he is going to get run out of town. All right, let's start with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, to me, since that injury, when I think they were like 13-3, they looked like they were Super Bowl bound. Since that injury, he's not been the same. He's not been the same to me. He's never, I don't know if he's psychologically recovered or if there's still some physical elements. And if the Eagles don't get around to protecting him really quick, and if Wentz doesn't learn how to slide instead of diving head first, he's just going to have more. It's going to be more problems. And right now, it's like Biggie said, more money, more problems, because you can't trade him, and if you and because whoever picks him up has to assume the risk that he's injury prone. Also has to pick up the end on what's left of his contract, which is ridiculously high. Now, if you get all the administrative stuff out of the way, you want to talk about high ceilings. You made a case for Carson Wentz. I make a case for Jalen Hurts. And the reason why I criticize the eye test in the beginning is because I think, like you said, I think some of these guys are like, oh, he's a pocket passer. Oh, he's a running quarterback and this and that. And they don't allow themselves room to get out of these labels in these categories where this false dichotomy, you're either a pocket passer, you're a runner. Clearly, Mahomes has defied that how could I say theory of that I'll just say that false dichotomy. Russell Wilson has defied that. Steve Young years ago. You saw this decades ago that this was coming. Steve Young was one of the few running quarterbacks that have a ring. And the reason, Rob, why people lean towards the pocket passer thing is because out of 53 Super Bowls or 55 Super Bowls or wherever the hell we are, you're not going to see too many mobile quarterbacks with a ring. You just don't see them. They're exciting to watch. They put butts in seats. They sell tickets. But at the end of the day, if one makes it to the Super Bowl, you're asking yourself, are they going to win or not? And they're usually not. In fact, look at the last decade, right? You got Tom Brady. Just take Tom Brady away. You got Big Ben that won 2. You got Peyton Manning that won. You got Eli that won. You have Nick Foles that won. None of these people are by any stretch of the imagination mobile quarterbacks.
Mobile or athletic.
No, nothing, man. We're not talking about Michael Vick. Michael Vick can run backwards and beat all of these guys the same day. Okay, he can race them one at a time and beat them all the same day. So for you, my argument is sooner or later, Philly is going to call for people's head. Like, if Jalen finishes out the season, and they have, I think there's somehow, some way they're still on the hunt. I think it's crazy. Like 8-1 might get them first place, and I believe they play Washington to control some of their own destiny. They do need help. But to answer the question, because I went a long time before I gave you the floor. I think his time is near at the end, and not because of what we think, but because of the court of public opinion. Philly's a tough place to play, man. They booed Santa Claus, for Christ's sake. Christmas is this week. They're going to be booing Santa Claus. That is just a place. I don't know if you call them the worst fans or the most unruly, but they are not as patient as us New Yorkers. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I've been patient, and you're a Giants fan. You accepted a bunch of losing seasons, but you knew that you wouldn't trade it for the world, for the 2 Super Bowl rings that Eli can. You take any football fan in any city would take that in a heartbeat. Okay,
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, dude, I would take my 4 consecutive Super Bowl losses just for one. The one we played the Giants. The Buffalo Bill played the Giants, and we missed a field goal and lost 20-19. By the way, the Giants had 42. The Giants had 42 minutes of time of possession on that too. So that was a really good game. Very good game. By the way, defensive coordinator Bill Belichick. Head coach Bill Parcells. All right, so moving right along. Let's see if we should let's do the pick 6. We're going to talk about mixed martial arts in a little bit. And of course, we got quick question. And of course, we got to shame or not to shame. We got 2 questions for that. NFL pick 6. Let's go over the winners last week. You, my man, Rob McLean, were a perfect 6-0. All right. Kristen Nuss, our guest, she was 5-1. Why was she 5-1, Rob McLean? Because she went with her heart and not with her head. She lost the last game to the Saints, with the Saints and Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, the Kansas City Chiefs, 41 minutes of time of possession in that game. So that's where we were last week. These are the overall results, because our guest went 5-1 this weekend, and you went a perfect 6-0. You are now tied for first with the guest. And with 2 more weeks to go. Me, I'm just trying to break off even. I'm just trying to be respectable, because I'd like to think I know something about football. Okay, come on, man. So, drum roll, please. Who's going to be our first guest this week? Our first guest is Taylor Crabb. Taylor Crabb, the dirty white boy, has decided to join us in our Beat the Host segment of NFL Pick 6. His brother Trevor, let's hope he has a little more luck than his brother. Big up to Trevor. Thanks for participating as well. Okay, so let's do let's start with game 1. All right. Game 1, we have the Excuse me. Jeez. Sorry. We have Vikings visiting the Saints. That's on Christmas Day. Friday night game. What do you got, Rob?
I mean, we got Drew back, so I got to go with the Saints, baby.
Oh, man. Listen, I don't trust Kirk Cousins. All right, it's a Friday night. By the way, the NFL, as of this season, would have played every single game every single night for the first time in the history of their of the NFL. They would have had a game on every single night of the week. This is a Friday game. So, but for me, skipping all that nonsense, I'm gonna go with the Saints. Taylor Crabb is going with the Saints. Let's move him in a little bit. There you go. Oh, there you go. Handsome dude. Yeah, he's about a what? He's about an 8 or a 9. I'm just kidding. No, I'm about an 8 or a 9. He's a 10. All right. So second game, we got the Dolphins at the Raiders. I'm going to go first on this one. John Gruden likes to battle. It's a game at home, and it's a very, very tricky game. It's a trap game, but I like the way the Dolphins travel. The Dolphins travel well. They won the games they were supposed to. They competed in the games that they were supposed to lose, right? They were supposed to lose at Kansas City, but no one told them that. They were trying to beat them. And I think if with the coaching staff and with Flores keeping them up all the way up every week, if they play the Kansas City Chiefs the same way they play the Raiders, they're going to beat the Raiders, and they're going to beat them badly. I'm going with the Dolphins.
Ah, man, this is a tough one. I have this feeling, I don't want to go against the Dolphins. I really like the Dolphins. I like everything they're doing this year, but I just have a feeling the Raiders are going to come out and do some good things. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
All right. You're going with the Raiders. I like it. Mr. Crab is, I believe, going with the Dolphins, and he says Miami. Miami all the way. All right, here we go. Game 3. Let's see. Rams. Game 3 is Rams versus the Seahawks, visiting the Seattle Seahawks in a division game. The Rams are one game behind, 9-5.
Do you want this one?
You got to go first. This is your turn to go first.
I can't stand the Rams, man. But I know as soon as I say that, they're going to win this week. And Seattle, man. I'll go with Seattle.
I think I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams, if you watch the last 8 games they played, for some reason they got their number. Even with Jeff Fisher. It's just winning.
If they ain't running the ball, I just don't think the Rams are going to beat teams. So.
What the hell am I picking the Rams for, who just lost to the Jets? All right,
that's what I'm saying.
Get out of
that's
here.
embarrassing.
And Crab is going with the Seahawks as well, and I'm going with the Rams. I think I don't know. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment.
No, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. I probably should have gone Rams. Mm-hmm. They're a good bounce back team.
Cool, man. Game 3, we have the Colts. No, that's game 4. I'm sorry. We have the Colts visiting the Steelers. I'll go first on this one. The Steelers have lost 3 consecutive games after winning the first 11, but I think this is a bounce-back game. It's going to be pretty chilly, and though the Colts are no stranger to playing in cold weather, I got to go with the Steelers because every time the Steelers were in a pick 6, they've won. Every time they haven't been in the pick 6, with the exception of the Buffalo Bills, they've lost. I'm going with the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. It's probably going to be the Steelers again. I like the Colts, but not that much.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go with the Steelers.
Cool. And Taylor is going to go with the Colts. And now we move on to Game 5. All right, Game 5. Let's check it out. Where we at? I keep losing it on my scroll. What the hell? Sorry, buddy. Game 5, we have the Eagles against the Cowboys at Texas Stadium, or whatever the hell that thing's called.
Gosh, I don't know. Freaking Cowboys.
You might have
is
to
this
spit.
you first?
You might have to drink and spit. It's you first.
Who we got again? I'm sorry.
You do the odd ones. I do the even ones. Come on.
You give me all the hard ones.
You got to hear it again. All right. The Eagles visiting the Dallas Cowboys.
I'll go Eagles. Yeah, let's rock with it.
Eagles.
Yeah, don't catch Giant fans like asking me to like, come on, I'm a Giant fan. You gonna ask me to choose between the Eagles and the Cowboys? Come
Oh
on,
my
that's
God.
messed up.
It is.
That's
Look,
messed
that's
up.
this is like the Browns and the Cowboys. Dude, I cracked
Ugh,
up. I cracked up when you said, I don't know if there's two more teams that I despise.
right?
I just thought,
Shit. Can I say tie?
yeah.
Can I say a tie? If
Well, yeah, if you want to fucking lose.
I
I'm
catch that one little tie.
Yeah. I'm actually going with the Cowboys. Cowboys, Andy Dalton's been playing really well, and CeeDee Lamb, and their special teams has always played well, and they've improved. The defense has been off the field less. They've found a way to win without Zeke, and I think from a karma perspective, or from a Black Cat Jinx franchise perspective, they can't write their story this weekend. It has to be the week. It has to be the Sunday after. They have to give their fans hope. Did you hear their nauseating, annoying fan base this week? Oh, we're on our way. We're on our way. Every time they win one game, oh, we're on our way. We're going to division. And you know what? We win a
Yeah.
division. We win a division. We got the shot. We're going to win the whole thing. We have a shot at winning
Yeah.
the whole thing. And for a week, how about them Cowboys? You got to listen to them all week. And I'm picking the Cowboys because their franchise is snake bitten. It's not, this weekend is not their time to break their fans' heart. They got to go to the end. Look, if they're supposed to
They
win
gotta
12
build it up a
games
little bit more.
Rob, if they're supposed to win 12 games to win the division, they're going to win 11 at the end. If they're supposed to finish 8-8, they're going to finish 7-9. They are a snake bitten franchise. Taylor's actually going to go with the Cowboys too. He's with me on that one, but for my reasons aren't generated by stats or analytics. It's generated by the historical voodoo doll jinxing of that franchise. They're not meant to break their fans' hearts this week. All right.
Well, I mean, aren't they like 2-10?
I don't come
So
on. They're 5-9, dude. They're 5
So,
and 9. That's
you
enough
know,
to look. They play Washington. I don't. They play the Eagles and it can eliminate the Eagles. And I think
it
they play
should
the
be
Giants
illegal to
and
get
they play
in.
the Giants to finish.
It should be illegal to get in if you're 2 games under.
Oh,
the
you need to
500.
stop. You need to miss me on
Come
that one
on,
because your
yo.
G-men are gonna freaking finish
7 and 9. I
7-9.
don't. They should just say we don't want to be in the playoffs. Give us another lottery pick. How about that? Come on. I mean, it's all for the money anyway. Give them a bye. Give us a better draft pick, and we'll go
You-
about it.
We can't give the Jets Trevor Lawrence, but you want to give the Cowboys a lottery pick? Come on, man. Let's move
I'll
on to
give
the last
Giants a
game.
lottery pick.
Last game, more difficult when we get the Titans visiting the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to go first on this one. Green Bay, since there's only one bye week for only one team, they want that more than anybody. And know the Saints lost and kind of hurt their chances of stealing it from the Packers. The Packers know if they win this week, it's a wrap. And they can rest their players and they don't really care. Pretty brick as far as cold weather's concerned right now. And as good as the Titans are and one of the most prepared teams. And the best way to beat Aaron Rodgers is to run. Derrick Henry can run. So this is a very risque pick for me, but I'm going to go with the Packers. And that's strange that I'm calling the Packers a risque pick, but
I know. So, Green Bay is usually the team. They're up north. They're ready for the cold. Just like the Steelers. I love what they're doing. I love the Packers. For me, I just don't see them being that team that closes. They're just not that good of a team where they pick out a game. They say no one's going to beat us this day. They're just not that good a team. Whether it's a defense, and sad to say, whether the offense just doesn't, peak out at a certain point. It doesn't. They're not going to score 40 points a game. It's just not going to happen. So, with those parameters, there's always something against the Packers where, the conditions have to be right for them to beat the better team. And I'm not saying the Tennessee Titans are a better team, top to bottom, from, the talent perspective, but top to bottom, that team is so solid. They stop the run. They're really good at pass defense, really solid on their pass offense, really strong on their run offense. There's really no place that they have weaknesses. So, when I see that, when I see cold weather, just because they're from Tennessee doesn't mean they're not built for the cold. And I think this team is built for cold weather, and that's why I'm going to go with Tennessee Titans.
Very good. Ooh, bold pick. Taylor Crabb, I believe, is going with me on the Packers. Let's check. I'm going to check to make sure on that. Taylor is going with Green Bay. We got actually a lot of the same picks, but yeah. All right. So that's this week. Good luck to my man TC. Glad to have him. He's one of, as you know, like Rob, you and me been at this for a long time. And I just want to say to the people listening, I've been more of a fan of the sport than a fan of players. I very rarely follow players. And it's like, I'm a fan of people, not necessarily players. Like if you're a good personality and a good person, like I followed John Mayer when he played. I've definitely followed Trevor Crabb because he's just an interesting person, you know. Like so, there's very few people that I'm actually a fan of, but I'm a fan of Taylor. I'm a fan of this guy. He's just young. You know what I'm saying? Where so many things could go the other way, he found a way to mind his P's and Q's, stay professional when he needs to, you know, party if he wants to, and he's good for the sport. He's good for the sport. So I just wanted to say that without going off on too much of a spiel because our other guests, I never really said that. But I do want to tag up Kristen Nuss, who was our guest last week. To me, she's the best college player right now in the United States of America, from the number 1 seed LSU on their Pair 1 team. So very, very good to have those two on our battle to host, right? The best college player and maybe you and I agree the best American male player, right? Do you think it's him or Phil? I think it's him
Man,
right
I haven't
now.
talked about volleyball in a while.
I know. He said, I want to talk
live
about
action.
volleyball. Look, I got a podcast for
on a
that
short
too,
list,
man.
on a short list, yeah, I'd say that.
All right,
But
cool.
I'd have to put more thought into it.
Nah, definitely. So, all right, so that wraps up our NFL Pick 6. We're going to move on to mixed martial arts. And over the weekend, we had Stephen Thompson. Love me some Stephen Thompson. Faced Jeff Neal. Now, Stephen Thompson put on... Look, heads collide, and both guys were bleeding a little bit. But for 5 rounds, I personally thought Stephen Thompson put on a 5-round clinic on how to slip in and out. You know, do power shots if you have to, and if you damage him, assess the damage, see if you can go in, or do you empty your tank, and if you don't finish him, you're done. So I thought he just fought this intelligent fight. And when you hear a mixed martial arts fan or a commentator say, intelligent fight, you synonymize that with boring. Synonymize, that's not even a word.
True.
But no, this is a smart fight, and it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. So I'm gonna put them up for the fans. These are the main events. So Rob, as I zoom in a little bit, the question is, because we're going to talk about one fight apiece, so let's consolidate and limit it to the fight that was the most. Maybe it's the most exciting, or just the most intriguing match, or something. What interests you about this card? Which particular fight?
I mean, I liked all of the fights. They were all pretty good fights.
Right, right.
I just had to, put a shout out to Marcin Tybura, for making Greg Hardy look like a little baby child. Because, man, I've never seen somebody curl up in a ball that fast when they're back on the ground. He's probably always been the one on top of somebody, beating somebody up. And I ain't trying to bring up no past things. I don't know what happened.
Nah.
But, he's an aggressor, so it's always interesting to see what happens when an aggressor gets on their back, and has to fight out of an athletic position, because the funny thing about it is, not to go too far, but heavyweights, they always talk about, it's always about the power and always about the knockout. And there's been plenty of champions that have won. Even, Stipe, he's primarily, he's a grappler, and that he made Ngannou understand that pretty quickly. But
talk about a 5-round schooling, huh?
Exactly. So you have to say, when you see like a Ngannou get schooled like that, or a Greg Hardy, I mean, he didn't even make it 30 seconds on the ground. He got on the ground once, and then he literally curled up into a ball. So
yeah, didn't you see that in the beginning of the first round, like at the end of the first round, just the pressure or whatever? Yeah. And I'm like, this dude's a heavyweight. I haven't seen his ground game. Can he get up if he actually goes down?
And he literally just let it go. It's just, I just wanted to shout it out because there's levels to that game. Greg Hardy, if you're in an advantageous position, you continue to put yourself in an advantageous position. Sure, you could be really good, but the second it's not in your position, you have to, better that position and get to a place where you're at advantage again. So,
Yeah. Well, Hardy's 11
big
fights
up to
in.
Marcin Tybura.
Yeah, but Hardy's 11 fights in. So you got to appreciate being, I mean, of course, his star power got him into the UFC because other people go through smaller promotions and then maybe Dana's Contender Series, maybe just sign a contract, get scattered out by like Dana looking for a fight or the Ultimate Fighter. I think a season's coming up next year. And I got to give it to him for someone that's just got thrown in the mix, an elite athlete, but just like Brock Lesnar or whatever. I thought he's doing okay. He's beating the people that he has a shot at beating, and he's losing the people who are highly ranked. Like his other loss was Alexander Volkov. That's a top 10, or maybe upper top 15 fighter. Alan Crowder, he lost because of an illegal knee. He kneed him in the head. So I mean that was a match he was winning, and now Marcin Tybura. Sorry, go ahead, please. No, go ahead.
No, well, I think this is like another terribly unimportant story, but with the whole Jake Paul and brothers getting fights against him and the Mayweathers, it's the same deal for this guy, honestly, because we would never be talking about Greg Hardy, a guy who turtles up on his back. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because he is 11 fights in, and he's on a main card at a major fight at the end of the year, fighting against a guy who's had 27 professional fights.
Yep. And
we're talking about him. And the only reason we're talking about him is because he got thrown out of the NFL because he was told, had domestic violence charges against him. And then he went into mixed martial arts and put a bad name on that because he's bringing all that bad information to the UFC, and UFC fighters now have to fight that image. So, let's keep it all in context, because it's not like Greg Hardy, and not to put your words on, but it's not like he got thrown into the mix. He was given all of this stuff on a silver platter, and he doesn't train hard enough to learn what to do on your back in the middle of a fight, a major fight. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
Well, the difference.
So if you're going to, he's a professional athlete. That's a professional thing,
But for him, I got to push back a little bit, because unlike some of the other fighters, he did do Dana White's Contender Series, right? He did. And then after that, he did go to Extreme Fight. He did have one small promotion. So it's one of those things where Dana was like, okay, I'll give him a shot or whatever. It wasn't like CM Punk. CM Punk was a main event and didn't fight at all.
That's different.
It wasn't like these whoever the hell these brothers are fighting a basketball player who's making his debut that was actually on a main card. That was ridiculous.
Bisbing fights they're talking about. Yeah. I'm just saying.
But
the fact is,
7-3,
those guys with 2 professional fights would never be getting any kind of clout at all if they were just in the fighting.
But Jake Paul ain't fighting. But Paul is not fighting anyone the caliber of Maurice Green, who Hardy beat. He's not fighting Alexander Volkov. They're not fighting any Jake Paul, whatever their weight class. I don't know if they're 145 or 155. That's like putting them up against who's the Texas Executioner? I forgot that guy's name. He's like top 15 dude. Or Irish Dragon, right? You're not gonna put those guys in a match against Irish Dragon. You might put him in a boxing match against Dylan Dennis, sure. So I think with the opportunity that he got. I'm not mad at Greg Hardy for getting the opportunity. I'm mad at the people that gave him the opportunity. But with that being said, if you're going to take it, you show some respect. You put the work in, and if you're good enough, you win. And if you're not, you won't. 7-3 is a good record, dude. And
no, it is a good record. That's not has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is that he's getting a lot more opportunities than guys who have truly earned it. Because again, he went into this Contender Series where a lot of guys don't even get the chance to get into a Contender Series.
Right.
How do you get into the Contender Series? You know what I'm saying? And Greg Hardy has been a professional athlete earning millions of dollars for many of years. So all of this, he does not have to do to support his family, to do anything other than a hobby. So that's why I'm saying some of these guys are working their life's hours all day long while this guy's doing it. Maybe he loves it. That's great. But you're getting all this extra possibilities because of something you did outside of fighting, and all these guys that are just doing fighting all day long. I'm not saying it's fair. It is never going to be fair.
Hell no.
But he should get a lot more flack than oh, wow, he's doing so great. Oh, he should. They were talking about he should be getting title shots soon because, his ceiling is so big. That's ridiculous. So I'm just saying, again, I'm glad. Let's just bring it back to where it started from.
Absolutely.
I'm glad a real fighter got to step in front of Greg Hardy and make him look like a little baby on the ground that he should have been looking like.
To show.
So I'm happy about it.
I think I agree with you in a sense that we haven't seen his vulnerabilities because, like you said, with styles make fights, he has gone up against people that can't get him to the ground. Maurice Green has a good ground game, but Maurice's wrestling's not going to get him to the ground. Okay, so yeah, Jorgen De Castro, that's a stand-up fighter all around. Okay, he's a little slick on his back because
But he's not somebody that's going to make Greg Hardy look vulnerable.
It was very similar. I'm not trying to compare this to Conor McGregor, but if you looked at Conor McGregor's first 5 fights in 140, the only guy that could take him down was Chad Mendes. And Chad Mendes had 9 days to prepare for that match and did take him down, on 9 days' notice. So,
totally.
So look what happened the first time that someone could take him down. The first guy that was prepared for him, that knew he was coming, that could take him down was Khabib. So all of those fights, 10 fights in, Rob, I agree with you. There has to be some contempt because you look at someone like Tony Ferguson, the guy won 11 in a row just to get an interim title match.
That's true.
Talk about paying your dues.
And that's real fighter. I'm talking about Tony Ferguson. How many times has he tried to step in and step out? We talk about Demetrius Johnson. I mean, these are champions that should be earning chances. And I'm not saying this guy's getting championship chances, but he's being, gifted a way in just like Johnny Walker was. Like, why can't these guys earn their way up instead of getting, thrown, pushed up the ladder by the promotion?
But that's an easy one.
I get it.
That's an easy one.
Again, it never works out. It really doesn't. So,
but that's an easy one. That's just the UFC.
Marcin Tybura.
But that,
he
4 in a row. 4 in a row.
That hype train. Yep. And he looked a lot different in the first round than he looked in the second round. So I'm happy for it.
But we knew that was coming, didn't we? Look at Marcin Tybura's lineup of fighters, man. He fought Stefan Struve. He fought Derek Lewis. He fought Derek Lewis in a match. I thought he was winning 2 rounds to 0. Right. And Derek Lewis, of course, 1-punch knockout, knocked him out. He fought Fabricio Verdum. I mean, the guy. I'm looking at Timothy Johnson, who's not even in the UFC anymore. Those are freaking rough riders, man. Ben Rothwell. That's a tough fight. I mean,
so the fact that this guy's even earning this right now, I mean, I'm glad that he didn't fight nobody on this caliber.
But this is the fight you were hoping he would take, so he does get exposed, right? You want him to fight someone like Tybura because Tybura does tell the truth, does tell your truth. He wasn't ready for all of these people like, oh, he should get a title shot, right?
And I'm not even thinking.
But these idiot fans come in levels, right? These idiot fans. There's a bunch of fans. Oh, he should get a title shot. He's Greg Hardy. And then there's some fans that are like, oh, he deserves nothing. And then there's some people in the middle. It's like, you know what? He's in the camp. He's training and he's winning these matches against competitive fighters. So for me, I'm somewhere in the middle. Part of me, like if he's guilty, because I believe in innocent until proven guilty always, almost always. But if he is, part of me just wanted him to fight Derek Lewis, and that was it. Because Derek Lewis has his peeve about people that beat on women. Derek Lewis is big against that shit, dude.
I mean, and I think that's what's crazy too, is because like. I wonder who they're going to set Greg Hardy up against soon. They're going to set him up against somebody that's going to go down to the ground, and force him to the ground, or are they going to set him up with somebody again who's going to stay on the feet?
That's a good question, dude. That's a good question.
And the same thing with Ngannou. Like, I mean, of course, I'm sure he has to have learned something about the ground game, but I haven't seen it. No. I have not seen it. No, I haven't seen anybody getting in front of him trying to take him down. I haven't seen anybody get him down.
He'll get the fight because he has a one puncher's chance. Yeah. But outside of that one punch and Stipe's ability to take a hit, because Stipe got clipped by Cormier, but Stipe got caught in the right place, so that's different.
Yes.
Because he got caught by Ngannou and didn't get knocked out either. Remember the first round? So I don't see how that's going to be different outside of that puncher's chance. But that because of the puncher's chance, that's why they're going to get that opportunity. For me, really quickly before we move on to shame and no shame, the fight that stuck out for me was Jose Aldo. It was really, really glad to I was very, very happy to see him just get in there and just use his legs, because when he fought Peter Yan and he fought a lot of people, the things that he does the best, like chopping someone's legs, that just makes you go, oh Oh God, I
Yeah.
ain't having
I
no
was watching
cheeseburger
that the other
tonight,
day.
man. He's just hammering the meat, boy. Hammering the meat part. We didn't see him do that against Jose Aldo. We didn't see him do that. I'm sorry, against Max Holloway. We didn't see him do that against Jan. Who right now is the champ,
Peter Yan.
the 135, the bantamweight champ. So it was very glad to see the Jose of old. Like Frankie Edgar chopped up his legs. Uriah Faber, if you remember that a couple of years ago, had to be carried out. Cub Swanson needed the head, just busted him up badly. So it was good. If he's going to continue to fight, I want to see him lose like this. I want him to see him lose doing what he does best, because we didn't see him. All the fights that he lost, you didn't see him throw leg kicks. Connor, he just charged him with his head. That was ridiculous. He got knocked out in 13 seconds, which is something. I don't know. You could never wake up in the morning and say it's a normal day. It's and not the way Connor was at that time, right? Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, zombified. Oh my God. So those are the two fights that stuck out for me. Those are, of course, Stephen Thompson. That's cool. Oh, whoa, no, whoa. Jumping guillotine, my man. There was a jumping guillotine. I gotta get with this dude. Where is it? Thompson versus Neal. Looking it up right now. This dude. Oh, Rob. No.
Like
Gotta
Fleck
go back.
Or something?
Yes, he was in the undercard. Country dude, man. And the first round, I believe it was the first round, whereas his name was Jimmy Fleck, and he fought Cody Durden, two relative unknowns. Undercard, no one's going to watch it. It's in the beginning. First round, just exchanging, and then jumped in the air. Vertical jump, looked like 35 inches. Jumped in the air, wrapped both legs around this guy's head. The guy slipped one arm out, and when they landed, the one arm out turned out to be a triangle choke. A jumping triangle choke. It was Demetrius Johnson worthy, dude. Remember Demetrius? He threw the guy in the air, and in the air he caught him with an arm bar, and when he landed, the guy was in an arm bar and couldn't get out. That was, dude. You and me can rehearse that. We can do that. We could do that cooperatively and not do that. And some one of us is gonna get hurt. So, big up to Jimmy Flick. Hope to see more of him. It's country strong. I think he's Oklahoman, and that wraps up MMA. Unless there's anything else you want to add to that, but I think we good to go with that. So. Last but not least, here we go. It's one of my, I don't know why I call it one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite. What the hell? Let's just handle this. This is this segment of the Sports Debate Tuesday podcast is called Shame, or To Shame, or Not to Shame.
Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame. Shame.
All right, Rob, to shame or not to shame? Dabo Swinney, the Clemson head coach and the coaches poll voted Ohio State number 11. To shame or not to shame? Is that shame or no shame, Rob?
I mean, I would say not shame. I think Ohio State was a lot different team than they've. They played really good football, but they just are a different team than they have been the past couple of years. So. Maybe it's an honest, true assessment, and they're getting their players fired up to play a team maybe they don't think should be in the top four. So, maybe it's a different type of bullet-borne material.
Me, I'm going to go with shame, because Ohio State the last 4 or 5 years has always been top 5 worthy or top 6 worthy, and they lost one game a few years ago and got voted out of the top 4, and now that they're undefeated and this guy's voting them 11, a guy who without Trevor Lawrence can't even beat Notre Dame, can only beat Notre Dame with Trevor Lawrence. If one player is the biggest difference in the world for you winning and losing, being in the top 10, maybe it's not Ohio State that should be voted number 11. Love me some Clemson, love me some Dabo, but for this one, gotta go as my horn honks. Shame, shame, shame. And let's do that. Rob McLean, last segment of the day before we wrap up for Christmas is quick question. Rob, quick question. Greek freak Giannis gets a 5-year, $228 million contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'll be as quick as possible. Big thumbs up, because I think he kind of controls his future, and then that team's going to do whatever they want, whatever he wants them to do. So good idea.
I like you. I say yes, man. Anyone that wants to start where they were and finish, man, is like, I don't know if that's an old school concept, but I romanticize that idea, and it's a quick question, so I say thumbs up. Quick question: did you enjoy watching Tiger and his son finish 7th in the PNC Golf Championship?
Yeah, I did. I really did, and I think this is just what Tiger needs: is something to actually, keep his life happy. Keep passion in his life. Maybe his kids playing is part of that. So happy to see it.
I was happy to see it too. Tiger, I only watched golf for long periods of time because of Tiger, and I'm definitely going to watch him play with his son. So thumbs up on that. Quick question. Freddie Kitchens was the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants in the absence of Garrett, who was on COVID protocol. Quick question. Did the Giants offense sputter because the Browns know Kitchens?
No, I think it just sputtered because of Kitchens. I mean, honestly, I've been really happy with what the Giants are doing offensively with all the lack of players they've had, but yeah, they just look like trash yesterday.
Yeah. Yep. Got to go with you on that. Yeah, they know Kitchens, and he's not that good to begin with, so I'm going to go both on that. Quick question, Rob. Were you happy to see Des Bryant and Antonio Brown catch touchdown passes the same day?
Yeah, I mean, I love the old guys, and they're still moving. I mean, Antonio Brown's still moving. Des is, maybe jumping, but yeah, glad to see it, and I'd love to keep the old heads in the game.
I was happy to see it because both players move the needle, and just like we were talking about MMA, sometimes rising tides lift all ships. Like if there are people that don't watch the sport, or if they don't the people that don't watch normally, or they follow particular players, more power to them, especially if those said players are scoring. College football. Number 1 was Alabama. Number 2 was Clemson. Number 3 was Ohio State. And number 4 is Notre Dame. Did they get it right?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't really like Notre Dame, and I always think they fail in the big time anyway. So I don't know how you gauge that, but yeah, I don't get how all the coaches picking the teams makes it fair for all 4 or all the teams that get in. So yeah, nope. I don't think they got it right.
Yeah, me neither. Quick question, quick answer. They got it wrong with Notre Dame for all the reasons you said. Quick question, Rob. Should Cam want to stay or go with New England?
I think he should want to stay, but I think that they should both just, split ways. I just think, Bill's looking for something different, and Cam needs a little bit more freedom to do his thing. They're just too different. I thought it would work, but it's just too different.
I think he should stay. It's an ideal situation for him. Nobody else is going to want to pick him up. Bill Belichick, on his part, maybe not. But Bill Belichick usually likes to give a quarterback 2 years. Sometimes he knows that someone's a scrub right away. He just drops him like it's hot. But I think they both owe it to each other to go one more year. I think it's going to be a more normal year as far as players who didn't opt out for the Patriots, because a lot of players, particularly on defense, opted out. And as long as Cam can improve on not beating himself, I think so. The AFC East is getting a little tougher, so they have to think about that. But I would like to see Cam do one more year, and then that year, whatever. Let's see what it is. That concludes our segment of Quick Question. It also concludes our segment of the podcast. I have no shout outs. I just want to wish a Merry Christmas to all. For movie recommendations, I'm a black and white film guy. So The Sound of Music, if that comes back on, if it's a family night, kids love musicals because they like people singing a role instead of talking about a role. So keep them in a room with that. For some reason, Pride of the Yankees always comes out during Christmas too. It has nothing to do with Christmas, but another one of my favorite black and white films. So, and that's all I got to say. But Merry Christmas to all. Rob, in closing, what do you got?
No, same deal. Just happy Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all that stuff. And then, hey, watch Klaus on Netflix. Best Christmas movie there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm curious. All right, I'm gonna look it up
Now
after
you're
the show.
curious.
Now I gotta
Yes,
go,
sir.
dude. Now I gotta go, and now we gotta go, Rob. For Rob loves you. In fact, for this holiday and only for this holiday, just like last week, just like the week before. I guess I love you guys too. All right. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPad, for all of you on your Droid, for all of you on your desktop, who runs the world? Old school for Rob. Keep it McLean. I'm Jason DeBias. This is episode 47 of Sports Debate Tuesday. Love you to pieces, people. We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.